Well, the work that I'm noted for actually started before there was an internet. It was on the ARPANET. And we had ARPANET mail at UC Berkeley, but we also had other mail systems. And there was desire to get them to talk to each other. And so I wrote what was at the time a little program to just make them pass mail between each other. And it was crude, but it worked and people used it. And then when Berkeley started working on the network stack for TCP/IP, Bill Joy, who was kind of the lead at that time at Berkeley, came to me and said, "Here, why don't you convert this over to the internet?" And if I had had any sense at all, I would have said no, because I was paid to do something else. And so it became my nights and weekends project for the next 15 years. So that was SendMail, and it was the first SMTP implementation out there, certainly one of the first. And it came out with Berkeley Unix, which kind of took the world by storm, and so SendMail took the world by storm. And it was probably more than it needed to be by today's standards, but back then the network was still kind of trying to figure out what it was this thing was going to be. What are you going to be when you grow up? And the network didn't know yet. And so SendMail was very adaptable and helped us get us through that difficult period. The greatest highlight, there are many of them. There are some highlights that are not good, but stuck out. I think there was the point, though, where I realized how many people who just weren't able to communicate before were able to communicate after SendMail. That was part of that period where everything was still in kind of Wild West mode. And I got a call from somebody who was trying to do something very, very strange, and helped him through that, and later found out that he was setting up a pen pal program between kids in the Chicago public schools and kids in the Moscow public schools. I'm talking the Moscow in the Soviet Union, because it was still the Soviet Union back then. And he had to jump through all kinds of networks to be able to make this work, but he was able to do it. And that was pretty exciting. That felt pretty good. So I think without a doubt one of the worst challenges was spam. Pretty obvious. At least in retrospect, it wasn't all that obvious at the time. Looking back on it now, the economic model of email did not scale up to the kind of sizes of the network that we ended up with. Worked fine when you've got a bunch of academics who are basically colleagues trying to share things. As soon as you open up to the world, the cost of sending one email is close enough to zero that it might as well be free. And as soon as you do that, if somebody thinks they can make even a penny off of it, they will send it. And spam really threatened to take the net down for a while. People were abandoning email because they couldn't find the signal for the noise. We've gotten a lot better at filtering spam. You can almost think of it as a solved problem now. It's not quite solved, but it's close enough that mail's back to being usable again. But there were a couple of years where it was dubious if email was going to survive as a medium. Well, I certainly didn't expect to be sitting here. When I wrote SendMail, I certainly didn't think it was going to put me into the position that I am today. It was just a solution to a problem I was having. And so in that sense, it's completely unexpected.